everyone, it's Techstrong gang. If you don't like this, you could click to cancel. Hey everyone, happy Friday. It's Alan Schimmel for Techstrong gang. You know, I mentioned click to cancel in the opening. We're going to talk about click to cancel, but I kind of like the whole vibe of click to cancel. I wish we had click to cancel in more things in life, quite frankly. It's a cool concept. You can tell it's Friday, right? And it's been a hard week. But we've got click to cancel. We've got more than that to talk about. I've got a great lineup of our gang here to talk to you about it. Let me introduce you to them. Starting off in Austin, we've got our good friend, Anne Ahola Ward. Hey, Anne, how are you?
Good morning. Great to be back, as always.
Is that still those New Year streamers I see on the fringe there?
You know, I think I still needed a little sparkle in my life.
All right, well then I will say Happy New Year. Happy New
Thank
Year.
you.
It's not too late. Thanks,
I have to
Ann.
be honest, it'll stay up until Valentine's.
All right. It's a spring thing. My friend Johnny Nicholson, and I, my best friend growing up, once he got married and lived in his own house, he used to keep his Christmas lights up. Like, it was warm already. It was March. It was April. I'd say, Johnny, when are you taking the Christmas lights down? He'd say, that's a spring thing. And in the spring, he would take it up. Now, there are some people who say, once you make it past the spring, you're better off just leaving them up. But
we call them Fiesta lights after February.
After February, they're Fiesta lights. Okay, we'll go with it. All right, moving on from Anne to back to the throne room at the palace in Silicon Valley. It's our resident royal person, John Swartz. Hey, John, how are you?
I just defrosted from Pittsburgh, so I'm back and welcome from Silicon Valley, home of the tech industrial complex, an essential cog in the oligarchy.
Beware the oligarchy. I felt it was sort of like a George Washington kind of warning to beware foreign entanglements.
It just blows with the wind politically, but I'll keep it at that. But yeah, interesting times here, and they'll only get more interesting and maybe frightening at the same time.
John, it's Friday, and I'm not taking that bait.
No, don't. Please don't. No, I'm going to get past it. I'm over it now.
I thought I went with George Washington, and that was nice and apolitical. Let's move on from Silicon Valley. We'll move a little west to the guitar man, our resident Futurum analyst and friend, Mitch Ashley. Hey, Mitchell, I'm glad to see you made it home from the cold confines of Boca Raton back out to Denver.
It was just a little too cold there for me, so I came, to warm single-digit degree Colorado. At least that's what we have coming here. So I'm still recovering, in a good way, from an amazing Greek food dinner. We had a fantastic meal.
Oh, that was the last meal. That was last. Well, last night, whoever was left, I brought to my house and we made dinner. I made
That's
dinner.
always fun too.
Yeah, it was good stuff. But it was good seeing you.
Lefkas or whatever it was. Yeah.
A good all hands meeting in Boca. Speaking of traveling home from Boca, he came, he saw, he went back.
I caught that geriatric express flight, and here I am back in New York.
You know what I love about the flights, though? Getting on the plane, there's 25 people who need wheelchairs. Getting off, it's like a miracle. A miracle. Getting off, 2 people need wheelchairs, the rest of them run. So
Ellen, I have some good news for you though. When
What's
I was at Carnegie Mellon, they are developing, and actually I'm going to add this to the story. They are developing with the airlines wheelchairs that can be taken straight onto the plane and be part of the seating to expedite the process as part of a robotics program.
That would be because PBI, if you guys have ever flown out of PBI Airport, Palm Beach, you got to board a half an hour earlier, start boarding to get all the wheelchair people in. And I'm not kidding. When the flight lands, it's a miracle. No one needs a wheelchair to get off.
I thought PBI stood for Please Board Invalids. Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, no. Well,
Okay.
I again don't want to get political, but you could go see either the Trump plane or Air Force One parked out there all the time too, because God
Well, that was
knows
what I was referring to. But
how
yeah,
many
See,
days a week the
It
president
seems
works.
to me if this conversation continues, we are going to get canceled. So maybe we should jump into that.
we're clicking the close
All
button. as
right.
we-
Anyway, Mike, it's good to have you back. It was good to see you in person here in Florida. And Mike took us to some of his favorite haunts down in the area. We had some good meals and drink and good fun, good time. But we've got to get busy. As I mentioned when I opened the show, I love the concept of click to cancel. If only it worked. What makes me think the FTC is going to make it work? I don't know. But Mike, why don't you kick us off here?
So we've talked about this last year, and honestly, we were all a little skeptical. But now here comes this actual order from the FTC. And so, Anne, what's your sense? Is this actually going to happen, or will the new administration kind of cut their legs out from underneath them, and this isn't going to happen at all? But it seems to me a lot of people I talk to, to Alan's point, are pretty excited about this capability.
I think it's an amazing thing. The concept being that if you have 2, 3 clicks to sign up for something, it should be the equal amount or lesser to cancel. I think it's a common consumer complaint, and they're actually rolling it out or enforcing it as early as May of this year. So I do think that they're serious about it. I think that the key aspects that I think are particularly helpful is the ease of cancellation, the transparency of what you're signing up for. Definitely, like in places like the App Store, you can subscribe to things and not even know it. And it's something that's really meant to protect consumers and help them understand how to get out of things that they can get into so easily. I think the consent requirements are also really important. But the thing that I read this week that I hadn't heard about before was the prohibition of dark patterns. So that means deceptive, manipulative user interface designs, things that make consumers go into unwanted subscriptions. I would say this is probably going to get heavily litigated because a lot of companies are going to lose this. I can remember 2 instances where this took hours of my time, one of which was XM Radio. I basically had to threaten legal years ago to get them to finally cancel our subscription. And then Adobe. I fought with Adobe, my subscription there for over a year. I had to actually involve my credit card company because they just kept charging me. And so the idea is that this will also save consumers time because a lot of time gets wasted in trying to understand how to get out of these things that you can get into so easily. So it's a very logical and helpful mandate, and I hope that I hope they're successful with this, and then we can move on to resort fees because I don't know about you. Yeah, but they're working on that too, and that particularly grinds my gears because you can book a hotel for less than $200 and then you spend another 50 on a hidden fee. So I applaud them for doing this. I hope it actually works.
So I have a rule. At the very least, if I could sign up for something online, I should be able to cancel something online. Companies that say, oh no, if you want to cancel, you got to call this 800 number, press 1, 3, 5, and then 7, and then wait in the queue and listen to their stupid music for a half hour. And then they're going to try to, in the case of like Sirius the satellite radio, oh well, we'll give you a terrific deal. It's only $9.95. No, if I want it, I'm canceling. Well, how about if I give it to you for $7.95? What would you do if I gave it to you for $1? No, just get away from me. I'm canceling. Adobe does that too. I do think it's part of the deceptive practice.
And yes,
I think it's gonna be
another.
good.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think it's going to be good for them in this sense, right? I think a lot of people got wise to this over the years and don't buy things because they know that they're going to get beat up on subscriptions. And longer term, maybe more people will actually subscribe to something because they won't feel like they're
So-
going to get ripped off.
I'm not that optimistic. I think this goes away in the new administration.
I think it's going to be heavily litigated.
How are you
but
going to sell all of those Trump gold coins and flags?
Oh, jeez.
I will say I hope that I think one of the other things it was
Sneakers.
meant to combat was signing up for something online and then requiring it in person. So like my gym, for example, that I haven't
Right.
been to in a year, they require me to go in person to
Yes.
cancel. And
That's
it's like,
that's
well,
that's interest.
If I was
You're
showing
right.
up there, then this wouldn't be a problem.
So there are health clubs that demand that members cancel by certified mail or in person, and then I don't even want to go into cable subscriptions. The time you spend on the phone. I mean, this reminded me of a controversy that AOL went through years ago, decades ago. They were in hot water because it was so simple to sign up for it then, yet utterly impossible to unsubscribe because you couldn't find numbers, contact information. This is something that is just analogous for the tech industry. And I think they're going to be a little bit put off by this and probably fighting and whispering to certain officials that we need to dissuade and get away from this. But
There's one area
so-
where we already have this. Apple, if you subscribe to a service using Hide My Email, it goes into your subscriptions like other things you buy through the App Store.
Yeah, and you can go into your App Store subscriptions
Any of those you
and
can
cancel
cancel right
from there. I found that very useful too,
Oh,
Mitch.
I love that. I
Me
love
too. And I've
I
used
hope
it
it's-
over and over.
I hope it's less clumsy than the rollout of GDPR.
Yeah, no, it is. If you go in, like if you're on
Oh,
the
wow.
Mac and you go into your Apple account and it has your subscriptions there and you could turn them off as you go.
that.
Mike, to your point about how consumers get wise to this, now I would do a variation on this. When I was looking to, like I was a DirecTV customer years ago, and they would give you these great come-ons and then 6 months later your price would double. And what I quickly found out, if I would just get on the phone and say, I want to cancel, they would put me to the saver department, basically. And they'd say, oh, wait, before you cancel, let us do this for you. I'd say, they'd say, why are you canceling? I said, because you're too expensive. And they would roll out every offer they had until I accepted something. And so I really wasn't looking to cancel. I was just looking to save money.
Yes, that's my wife does it exactly the same. She does that annually. She'll threaten to cancel, then she gets a sweetened deal. And that's part of the strategy.
That's another part of the consumer experience. It's kind of like going to the shook, right, and bargaining with the people. But
Well, if
you
you
know-
look at the legislation, FTC's rules, it has a lot of what we're talking about. It has to be the same medium. You don't have to talk to a person to do that. And you should be able to do it on, should take the same effort as it does to sign up, as it does to cancel. So,
Agreed.
if this flows through, I think it's a great thing for the consumer. Certainly good for us.
Agreed.
I think those gaming companies are going to be in a lot of trouble though, because I can't tell you the number of times that over the years that I had to go look at one of my kids' accounts and say, so there's subscriptions within subscriptions to this thing? How does that work exactly?
Well, but you know what? Again, Apple and Google, when you download an app or a game like that, it'll tell you in-app subscriptions. So, at least it's giving you a heads up. I don't know how many
And you
people
can
read
see what
it.
its charges are before
Right,
you do
but-
it.
Which the average 13-year-old dutifully ignores.
Well, but not on purpose.
Are you saying I'm a 13-year-old?
That's problem.
Are you saying I'm 13? Is that what you're saying?
You know what? They're wise to it. They just don't care. But it's not like they don't know.
I've
Mm-hmm.
had instances where I've deleted an app and it still charges me, which baffles
sure.
me as well. Deleting does not mean canceling.
No,
and
it does
and
not.
maybe that'll change.
Look, there's two sides to all
Why
of
not?
these things, right? I mean,
There's
we-
a certain
we-
amount of
Go ahead.
there's a certain amount of pleasure in canceling something, right? There's a certain,
Absolutely.
Right?
It is. It releases
It's like
some endorphins.
cleansing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's like, but somebody like who wants to get rid of their Meta or Facebook account. I mean, that's really hard to do, to scrub it completely. But I mean, psychologically, it does feel good. Well, I always wonder too, is that the FTC, with the new FTC chair coming in, is this all moot?
That's what I'm
Or
saying.
just-
We're wasting time talking about it. They're not going to do it. But to your point
Yeah.
with Meta and our friend over ZY, whatever the heck they call that one now. What I find interesting is a lot of my friends who have abandoned those platforms have not canceled per se, especially if it's free accounts that don't cost them anything, because they want to preserve their name so that
Exactly. I
no
do
one
that.
comes in and tries to impersonate them with their name. And
And that
I
is happening. That is actually happening. I ran across a friend of mine. She has, I don't think she knows this, but she has 2 other profiles associated with her name with different birth dates.
Yeah.
So, I
So
mean,
is
this
that
is
called
some.
is that called quiet canceling? How does that work?
I guess you would call, I call it a bit,
I like
Wow.
that.
quiet canceling. Make sure you credit Mike Vizard for that.
Well, sure. I'll put it in Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, that's a good one. Quiet canceling. Anyway, let's take a break here on Techstrong Gang. We're going to come back and talk about one of our favorite topics, AI. But AI in healthcare. You're watching Techstrong Gang.
Modernize your business to fuel innovation and elevate customer experiences. With the Builder Community Hub, AWS and its partner network provide essential tools for transforming applications and infrastructure to fully leverage the cloud. Discover free trials, in-depth demos, and essential resources to empower DevOps engineers and developers to deliver value faster and more reliably. Visit the Builder Community Hub to learn more.
Folks, we're back and we're talking about AI in healthcare, specifically some stuff that NVIDIA is doing to help drive research and development in this area. And I got to tell you, this story is a little raw for me because a close friend of ours and my family passed away yesterday. And it was a long battle with cancer. And part of the issue was it took them too long to discover the root cause or that it was even there. And it became a bigger issue than maybe it should have. Who knows? But John, you're looking into this story and you wrote a couple other things in this area. And I've also talked to AstraZeneca about what they're doing. There's a lot of good work being done here.
Yes, there is. I mean, NVIDIA made an announcement Monday. It was a pretty ambitious announcement. They had a briefing with Kimberly Powell, who's the vice president of healthcare there, and they mentioned a number of partnerships. One was with IQVIA, which I cannot pronounce, to accelerate drug and medical device developments through, I think it's the AI Foundry service and agentic AI at NVIDIA. ARC Institute, they're going to accelerate computational biomedical research via AI models. Illumina, genomics insights with also Mayo Clinic. They're going to speed up AI-driven digital pathology through computing platforms such as that are powered by Blackwell. And in a sense, they're doing a lot of things that I think are incredibly important, and they have high ambitions. They're talking about basically using agentic AI and physical AI to revolutionize healthcare, increase access, and drive discovery. This is all part of this larger edict within the company to diversify beyond data centers and position itself as a leader in multiple industries, particularly healthcare. And here's one reason why. Here's 10 trillion reasons why. That's the size of the global healthcare and life sciences industry. So they see this as a huge opportunity, but I also see it as an incredibly great opportunity for us, an aging nation where we all have our issues, as Mike mentioned. I'm sorry for your loss, Mike. And I'm kind of going through the same thing with my parents. There is a push, not just among NVIDIA, but other companies to go into embracing, or medical professionals embracing AI to expedite everything. There are shortages of medical personnel and there are antiquated facilities. So I look at this as a positive. I also look at it as a huge opportunity for NVIDIA. But first and foremost, I think it's something that we all have got to do a much better job with, and that's just healthcare in general.
What also would be good to see, John, is AI tackling the insurance and coverage and
yes.
claims. That is a
Well,
behemoth.
the insurance
Talk
paperwork.
God,
about
yeah.
an obstacle to getting healthcare. That's also, if you could streamline that by 15%, it would be massive. Just think about how much that would improve delivering care to customers.
You ain't kidding. You're not kidding.
I'll tell you what I'm a little concerned about is that I look up and down the landscape and there's a shortage of GPUs, there's a shortage of data centers, and a shortage of energy. So AI is a limited resource. Are we really applying it to things that matter, or are we just using it to write better emails? And it's kind
You know
of
what? You
Where
gotta
is there
start.
more unstructured data than healthcare? Where is there more opportunity for automation than
Where's there more
healthcare?
money?
And
But-
also potential to save actual human lives.
Yeah, but I don't believe the hype about data space and energy and data centers. That's just, what do they call it, grist for the mill or whatever.
Greasing the skids.
Yeah, something with the mill. John would know. He has a way with
Grist
Grist for
words.
it's grist for the mill. You are
It
correct,
is grist for the mill. That's right. Okay. Well, we had mills and we were milling stuff. We put grist in there.
All right.
Anyway, but
I'll be
we'll
back to you on that subject next week with some real data. that
no,
says
absolutely.
we
You know
know
what? Show me one AI implementation that's not happening because we don't have enough data center space or we don't have enough energy. They
I
want
will, because
more
it's
and we'll overbuild it. I remember when they used to, if only we had more fiber
we
for the
we
internet.
can't
If only
we
we had
can't
more fiber. Level 3 in Interlaken, when I used to live there with Mitchell, they were sitting on enough dark fiber for 30 years that they're just starting to use it now. But that's all you heard. It's only we had more fiber for the internet.
we'll get back to that. But
Yeah,
with some real
Well,
nonsense.
if there's
yeah.
one
Here's
thing we've never underbuilt, and that's data centers. I mean, think about going back. I mean,
IBM
we're
is still selling data centers from the Cold War.
if
But
anything, we'll over rotate on data centers. I
yeah,
think.
we'll wind up with too much. But here's my issue. Because I'm a meat and potatoes kind of guy here, right? And I think we're biting at the edges of what AI can really do in healthcare. It's not about reducing errors in clinical paperwork. That's a great, I'm not saying it's not a good thing, it's a good thing. But let's talk about where the real shortage is. Qualified doctors, qualified professionals, right? When AI hits that head on, then we're going to be somewhere, right? It's getting more beds in hospitals and emergency rooms and urgent care. It's getting more people able to be treated. That's the thing here. And Mike, I'm sorry for your loss as well. I think unfortunately all of us have suffered in our family from a result of people. It just took too long to get care. It took too long to
Right.
get the right care. Oh, looks like you might have a malignancy. Well, let's schedule an MRI. When can I get that MRI done? What about 2 weeks from tomorrow? Then it's going to take a week to get the results, and then I'm going to have to show it to the doctor, and then he's going to refer you to the oncologist, and then the oncologist, he's a good oncologist, one of the best. Can't get in to see him for 3 months. By the time you do, you're dead. That's the issue, and that's what AI has to tackle. You know,
I think it has to tackle that too, Alan. I wrote about this actually, comment on a post that Keith Townsend put up with Futurum. Is that all the focus on general productivity, Copilot for your PC, et cetera, those are all interesting, but that's not the real value of AI. Improving individual productivity is a very hard thing to measure. How much time do you really truly save writing emails? What really matters is improving process, eliminating processes. That's the way you want to get more efficient, not have to do something. That's another way. And I think that's the big question about AI is what's the ROI? People are asking, we had that conversation the other day about, are we backing off on AI investment because there's not a ROI for it? Well, if you're just doing it as another Slack or another team or another kind of productivity tool, that's hard to justify. But if you're streamlining processes, if you're making maybe even redesigning them because you have AI, just to pick one thing, more or less finding the shortage of talent that you can have. Security people, let's find more security people, right? As well as doctors. So I think there's a continuum of value, but it's not just general productivity. Yes, it'll help us, but that's not where the real money is.
I think that I agree with everything you're saying, and I think it's not just getting people from being in the hospital, it's getting them from staying too long in the hospital, because the longer you stay, the sicker you get, is a theory I've had for many years. One of the early applications I saw of AI in healthcare that I still continue to watch and think is one of the best use cases is the Duke Sepsis Watch. Sepsis is one of the most common causes of death in hospitals. And this pilot study showed that they were able to detect early signs of sepsis before humans could. And that, to me, is exactly what this technology can and should be doing. That will save human lives, guaranteed. Everything else is window dressing, chatbots for getting appointments or triaging symptoms. Like, that to me is not the killer app here. To me, the killer app is literally saving someone in
Staph
their life
infection.
from a major infection that would kill them.
You're reminding me of my father. He used to always tell me, "Don't go near the hospital. That's where the germs are."
Well, so my grandmother used to say, and she was a wise woman, she used to say, the doors to the hospital on the way in are very wide, and they get very narrow on the way out. And I think that's still true. But no, I foresee a day where AI is. I'll give you a for instance. My wife, I walk the dog this morning, go upstairs, Barney's getting dressed to go to the gym, and she says, my cholesterol, I got my blood work results, because you get that before you go to the doctor, right? My cholesterol's back up. I said, when are you going to the doctor? Oh, not till I think 2 or 3 weeks. I said, well, if I were you, I'd start taking I take citrus bergamot or bergamot, whatever you call it. It's really good. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling anyone to take it, but it reduces your cholesterol. I said, start taking my citrus bergamot. She said, well, I'm not sure. Maybe I should wait for the doctor. I said, Bonnie, if you start taking this now, by the time you go to the doctor, your cholesterol it's not sky high anyway. But we need, it would be so much better. So much of what we waste people's, like doctors' times with is something like that. When they should be looking at, so triage is important, right? Triage is prioritizing where we put our time and who gets a bed and stuff like that. And that could be really helped with AI, really helped. And that will save lives. If my doctor's concentrating on the guy who might be we have another friend, Mike, and I, who's in the hospital right now with a myocardial infarction. I don't know if you saw this morning, he said it was close. He wouldn't be alive except his wife made him go to the doctor for chest pains. Those are the people you got to prioritize. Not necessarily, and there may be, I'm not a doctor, but I do believe that AI is going to have a profound impact on improving the healthcare system up and down.
And I hope it's an equalizer, because I have to be honest, as a woman, I'm less likely statistically to be listened to and diagnosed properly than a man. And that's not just because women don't get listened to or pain is ignored. It's because statistically more money goes to men's health issues.
I agree with you.
In
It's a
studies,
terrible
like,
thing.
by far.
And that's women. Let's not go to economically.
But could AI equalize that? Because AI doesn't care if I'm a man or a woman. It's looking at
Absolutely.
my
And they
data.
don't care if you're black or white or Hispanic or
Right,
Asian.
exactly, which goes double
And
if you're a minority.
that's a whole nother boogeyman. But anyway, don't get me started. It's Friday. We're taking a break here on Techstrong Gang. Let's come back and talk about something not controversial, like the FBI deleting files. You're watching Techstrong Gang.
Discover Techstrong Group, the epicenter of tech innovation. We're your go-to for reaching IT leaders and practitioners worldwide. Our secret? Impactful content that sparks awareness, engagement, and top-quality leads. With us, you'll access editorial websites, streaming videos, virtual events, custom content, analyst research, and more. Join our satisfied clients. Let's revolutionize your tech journey. Contact us today and tell your story to the world in the most powerful way with Techstrong Group.
All right, folks, we're back. And yes, it is maybe controversial. We'll see how this conversation works out. But the FBI has been deleting some files that contain some malware that were allegedly distributed by some folks associated possibly with China. You know how all these legal terms are. But I think this is one of the first times, or maybe they've been doing it, but Al, I'd love to get your thoughts here. FBI is actually reaching into people's systems to delete files. And it seems like, you should get some permission, maybe. I don't know. But what's your take on this? And are there legal implications here?
Yeah, I can sum up my take on this in one line. The road to perdition is lined with the best of intentions. And I get what they're looking to do, and it's a noble right. The end, the goal is a noble goal. Like, let's get rid of malware. The means leaves a lot to be desired, right? And so the road to hell is lined with the best of intentions. Do I trust the FBI to come onto my machine and delete files. That's how.
I trust
There's really
them
a-
over the Chinese government.
Yeah.
Well, the Chinese government puts files on and then takes. Yeah,
Well, exactly.
But that's a different thing. The Chinese government are clearly doing that, not with the best of intentions. Well, maybe it's their intentions. The FBI is doing it here to do the right thing. But this is akin to, should the FBI have the ability to crack your iPhone encryption?
Well, or have they already been doing this, Alan? Right?
Yes.
Here's
Right.
what's fascinating to me about this is it's not the FBI deleting the files. They actually hacked into the servers that deliver the PlugX code that's been out. This forget it, the Panda Group, whatever it is that funded this. So they hacked into the servers and put in their own code that will go out and deliver an instruction that was already there that deletes all the files that were part of this PlugX Trojan and any files it created. So you're using the hackers, the bad guys' own mechanisms to do this. It isn't the FBI logging into your system. They actually hacked the hackers. I'm not sure that's a bad thing.
I don't know. That sounded like two wrongs making a right, but I don't know.
Well, but you end up in the right place.
Right, but did they do this without notice? Did they do this under cover of darkness?
Oh,
Did they not
sure.
Well,
disclose?
they did.
the servers in the U.S.
I don't know where the servers are. I have to look at the article and see what it said.
I'm reminded of the case a few years ago during COVID. I forgot what. I don't know if it was a Chinese or an Eastern European group hacked some healthcare folks. I think it was Atlanta, Baltimore, one of the towns. And they were paid in Bitcoin. And miraculously, about a week later, the Bitcoin, the malware group got all mad and put out sort of, stuff online. How dare that their Bitcoin was stolen. Their Bitcoin disappeared. And that's when I first realized, the NSA can make Bitcoin disappear. And what, that's something we've got to, that's a reality. And so again, road to perdition, right? The intent and the cause is right. And Mitchell, in this particular case, they did the right thing, it sounds like. The problem is the potential for malfeasance here is bad. Did they go get some sort of court order for this? Like what was the from 9/11 Bush, the Patriot Act? They set up the court. Law enforcement would have to go get permission before they did something similar to this.
So this
Right.
is even more entwined, Alan, because the servers, I just was doing a little search, the servers were actually taken over by the French government. Servers are located in Tokyo. And so the FBI worked with the French law enforcement agencies to turn this code on and have it delivered. So it's not just us doing this if we actually have a multi-government plot here to delete files.
Assuming that the servers are under Japanese sovereignty, did they say okay? I mean, that's kind of the
I don't know. It's a good
kind
question.
of
because-
dynamics to this thing get really compelling and interesting.
I don't think the Japanese are going to come forward and say
No.
that.
I mean,
What
the
are the J-
servers were
Think
taken
about
over.
it. Are the Japanese going to say, yeah, we gave permission to the French and American to come in here and hack into servers under our jurisdiction? So none of yours, just letting you know, the French and Americans, if we would decide we're going to let them come into your servers too here in Japan, Japan's never going to say that.
I mean, because they took over the servers to basically curtail and block the botnet that was happening that PlugX was distributing. So there were good reasons why they took it over, right? Now, okay, what about this scenario?
I mean, if it's not them, who should it be? Or are
Right.
we
No, I'm
on
not
our own
saying if it's,
officers?
I'm just saying there needs to be an oversight. There needs to be, much as in the Patriot Act, they set up, I forgot the name of the court that was set up for Patriot Act.
Or the Pfizer court?
Yes, I think that was it. You need to set something like that up to prevent abuse, because this activity is prone to abuse, depending who you believe. right?
I mean, I think that that's true of any situation where you're dealing with centralized networks and, we've seen Facebook employees getting caught stalking people through the platforms that they
Mhm.
are supposed to be protecting. This is true of anybody that has too much power. I totally agree with you, and I think we have 5 watchdogs here, if
Well,
anyone's
maybe we
watching.
should be the court, not a kangaroo
I
court,
mean, I'm
mind
just
you, but
saying.
yeah, no, I hear you, but that's what you need. You don't want whistleblowers per se. I'd rather have a court that they go to beforehand and get permission for this kind of thing. I think what they did may very well have been extremely reasonable and good, and I applaud it.
More real-time research. They went to court to 9 different courts in the US starting in August of last year to get explicit permission to
So
delete.
they did have permission.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
so then good for them. I applaud them. Good work. Story's over.
There you go.
Congratulations to the FBI and our good friends in the French government. It was probably Interpol or
I,
someone, right?
I think more transparency is still required here to kind of say, okay, what exactly did the court approve and when and why? And
Well, you can
those
make a
doc-
Freedom of Information Act on that.
yeah, I'll get that. Well, hopefully with AI, I might get that in a week, but right now I'll get it in 9 months if I'm lucky.
Good
There's an
reason.
AI tool I would use,
Uh-huh.
something to expedite the request of documents.
Mm-hmm. So how long though will it be before you think, and I'm not throwing red meat out there at Alan just for grins, but so I take over your server, I insert malware, and suddenly I'm deleting all the files belonging to the political opposition because I'm sorry, they were
Are
all.
you saying that doesn't happen already?
I don't know, maybe.
Oh,
Well,
Mike,
let's take
now
take
who's
another
being naive?
example.
Who's
Maybe they
being
should
naive now, Mike?
maybe they should delete TikTok for us once they ban it. Maybe, what about that scenario, right? That's a real scenario.
That's a really good point. yeah.
Only if Elon doesn't get his hands on it.
Well,
If he can't
it's-
have it, no one can.
Yeah.
It's one of the
By the way, the
reasons
head of
I
the
don't.
by the way, there's a headline out that the head of TikTok has been invited to the inauguration to sit near the swearing in.
Well, he paid $1 million to the inauguration
sure did.
committee too. Why
that we know
shouldn't
of.
he?
Yeah.
Beware foreign entanglements. George Washington. What was it,
I know.
1796, Mike?
So what are they going to do? Just flip a coin and give it to one of the cronies is that how that's going to
Isn't
work?
that how Putin does it?
I
That's
don't
how
know.
oligarchs
Yeah,
happen.
you parcel it out. That's how land barons. That's how barons work. Sorry to set this
and
on a
saying,
bad
oh
tone.
boy, we're going
Friday,
into
I know.
I knew to I figured we'd get into TikTok given that there's, we're talking Chinese government and this is obviously very fresh on our minds. I think Elon running it is a non-solution. I just can't see that happening. I think more realistically we'll see an
He did with
extension.
Twitter.
Oh yeah, that's going awesome.
That'll
You
be
know,
awesome.
it all could be moot too. I mean, there's also Trump could issue an executive order and just say never mind. So anyway,
I
So,
think that that's likely to
interesting
happen
time.
because there's too much money at stake.
So
Exactly.
would you sign up for an FBI service that would essentially do cyber hygiene on your system to delete all these files that, essentially it's a national security issue. So maybe we should all just kind of, subscribe to some service, hopefully one that we can turn off with a single click.
What could go wrong
Well, that
with
would make them a commercial interest. I don't know that would ever happen,
No,
but I'm a
would
patriot.
it would be free. It's part of your tax dollars. It's national security.
Look, if you don't have anything to hide, what difference does it make? That was
Well,
always the
yes,
thing.
but I'm
I'm
never
kidding.
Gonna buy
I'm
a
being
No.
I'm never gonna buy a car that has the ability to be shut off externally. I have a very
How do
firm
you
belief
know?
that these newer cars have kill switches,
They
and
do.
yeah, and I will never buy a car that has that. I'm never gonna be in
So
a
are
high
you going to start
space.
walking and biking? What are you going to do?
I'm gonna keep fixing up my old
Alright.
Mercedes.
You can presume they'll take over your electric bike too. So
Right, but the point is that I have no intent of ever.
You know, I'm
Well,
reminded
but I
of
just on principle don't like that capability.
Mitchell and I are at Still Secure around 2006, 7, something like that. 6 or 5. We were doing NAC for the DoD. we get a call from SecDef office. If we can write a NAC test, network access control test, to make sure that the USB port on laptops are
Disabled.
disabled. Yeah, it's pretty easy enough for us to do. Why you want to do that? Never mind why you want to do it. We just want to know if we can. And if they're not disabled, do not let the machine on the network. Relatively simple thing. Mitchell has the engineering team do that. We add it to the next release for DoD, and it goes in right away. We find out about a year later, not through Freedom of Information Acts, that, some foreign entity, probably the Chinese government, just went into the Pentagon parking lot and threw USB thumb drives into, like they dropped, a bag dropped. And the hyper intelligent people over there picked them up off the floor and said, "Oh, great, a USB drive. I could use one of these," and plugged it into their laptops. And hence, the Chinese stealth fighter program was born. So, this is real deal. Stuff happens. And certainly when you're in the government or affiliated with it, because only 20% of the people in the Pentagon work for the Pentagon. The rest of them work for the, Beltway bandits. But when you're doing work, you do give up your right for them to come onto your machine. And I don't have a problem with. I do have a problem if it's not government affiliated, my work or my laptop or my device or what have you. We saw it with remember, Mitch, there was a time at RSA, all the rage was the bifurcated phone systems where really you couldn't pass through that. It was like a blood-brain barrier, a blood-brain or brain-blood, whatever barrier, versus having two separate phones. I don't, I could see us heading that way, that's the way of it. I do think our governments have a right to make sure that critical infrastructure, national secrets, stuff that, we need if they deem it necessary is protected. It's the same thing during 9/11 or right after 9/11. Remember, they wanted to hack in all the phones and computers to see if there were plans for more attacks. And there was this whole debate raging that gave rise to the Patriot Act and the FISA court. Right?
Well, given the level of trust, if you ask the question, do you trust your government, at least to U.S. citizens, I think the overwhelming answer would be no, given the climate we're in. So them doing something like this would meet a lot of opposition.
Sure. What's interesting is the reason for the no.
Yes,
Depending if you're blue, red, here or there, right? The no has a very different thing, right? They're
blue and who's in office, and red
right.
and who's in office, and
exactly. But I think that's the world we live in. But kudos in this case. Let me just wrap the bow here. In this case, it does appear as if the French government and the US FBI went to appropriate courts, worked with the Japanese government, and did the right thing here from following the good doobie rules. And so kudos to them for that, and thank you for doing this.
And don't pick up any USB drives in the parking lot.
No, that's the moral of that story.
Don't use airport Wi-Fi or chargers that are public.
Arguably, do it faster next time then, because it takes too damn long to get it through the court system.
So maybe we need a FISA court kind of setup where that can be expedited.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe we use AI to make it faster.
Right. And I would say, we should set up a red and a blue service you can sign up to depending on your personal
forum shopping for that. That'll work. Yeah. Excellent. I think, it's time to start the weekend.
Oh boy. So we can write that spy novel we're all talking about.
Yeah, this has been a great Friday edition of Techstrong Gang. We hope you've enjoyed it. We had a good time. We've got a full-on Techstrong TV day for you after this. Check it all out. We'll be back Monday with lots of good fun here on Techstrong Gang. But we hope you have a great weekend. Stay away from that Chinese malware. And until next time, this is Alan Schimmel for Techstrong Gang. We're out.